Okay, so from what we have done, if we go to the browser, you notice that we have started it in this manner now. So what we need to do now is once we click this back button here, so it should take us back like this. Nice. So let's add that. So I'm going to go to the button here. So let me just add some few comments to easily identify the buttons. So this one is going to be my back, then this one is going to be my delete because they are too close. Then this one is going to be my update. So now what I want to do now is to add an event listener. So on click, then I will do my anonymous function, then redirect, then I'll do -1. Remember, so let's check if we have this function. If we don't have it, then we have to create it. So we don't have it, so let's create it. So we have let's redirect equal to use navigate from React Router down, so that has automatically imported. So now what will be the effect of this? So if I go back to my browser, once I go to editors page and I press back, so you notice it comes back. Nice. So next what I want to do now is when I click on this delete button, it should delete the blog. So let's do that. So once again I'm going to add an event listener here. So on click our anonymous function, then I'm going to put handle delete just like so. So we will now create the function here so that when we click on this button, it's going to run this function just as we learned in our last week. So I'm going to come here, I can put the comment handle delete function. So I'm going to do that. So function handle delete. So when the user clicks on this handle delete, the person will receive a prompt, because you don't want the person to accidentally say, for example, let me check if this delete is working, and for this blog is deleted forever. So we want to ask the user for that. So let's ask user equal to confirm from React. So as the user, do you want to delete this blog post? Forever. So if the person says yes, there's going to be something like this. So if asks user, then we'll show an alert. Show an alert. So alert. Blog deleted. Success fully. So let's see how that works. So if I save, I go back to my browser. Once I click this, it asks me, do you so that the English is not spelled correctly, so let me, it's not considered correctly. So do you want to delete this blog? So let's test again. So do you want to delete the blog post forever? So if I say no, nothing happens. But if I say yes, I'll have this. So blog deleted successfully. So now let's actually implement this delete process. So I'm going to go to my VS Code. So what I'm going to do now is this. I'm going to, in place of this, okay, inside here, first of all, I'm going to add my ashes. So I'm going to click on this. I think I have it automatically imported already because I've used it up here. So it has already been imported. So as you can see here, ashes. So we use .delete. Then I have to, now it's still the same URL here, so I'll just copy the whole of this. In fact, I just need to copy the whole of this. So I'll have to repeat that with Ctrl+C. Then I paste here. So all I need to do now is to we want to see what is happening here. So let us remove this data. I would want to set this data here. Let's actually see now. Ideally, once this happens, I want to now call my alert here. Then let us see if the blog post will reduce to 99 after we delete the blog post. So let us actually have an idea of what is being returned when the blog is deleted, so to give us an insight of why it is not being deleted. So if I go to my browser, if I go back, the back is working. So I come here. So let's say also, if I check on this delete, it's a cancel, so nothing happens. But if I click on this delete, you notice blog deleted successfully. Now see what is being returned. Okay, I need to close this guy. So what is being returned is the start is okay, so that is a successful request. Then the headers is, then the data that is returned is the one that is the one that was deleted. So So now let's see what will happen if we go back to this blog page. If we are going to see the blog post reduced to 99 instead of 100. So let's add that to our code. So I'm going to add here redirect back to -1. So if I do that, so let's do that again. So delete. Okay, so you see blog deleted successfully. So now if I go back, come here, you notice I still see 100 posts. So that means this delete is not actually working. And this makes sense because if you notice from the definition earlier, the JSON placeholder is used when you just the initial idea was to give you some dummy data when you need to work on a project. So if every user has that access to delete the blog post to update, that means they will run out of what? Of data. So at some point a user might decide to wipe this thing off. So that is why it's giving you the impression that it's actually deleting, but it is not actually being deleted. So with this now we'll switch to the offline version. Just a moment. So now with this, now we'll switch to the offline version, which is the JSON server that will give us more controls. But before we switch, there are some few things we would like to do. So we would like that this our button here can be an icon, so we want to use the React icons. Then we also like that this our delete functionality here should look more nicely. So remember in our field here, so if I go back to the previous slide, I said there are some of the things that we'll learn how to build with our React. So bootstrap, alert, and model. So I can decide to use bootstrap, so I'll show you the two of them, how to use bootstrap or how to use the material UI. So any of them we can use it to build. So instead of building a customized alert pop-up or whatever we use, I'll show you how to use the material UI to do that. So we are going to add the icons, then the React testify, and this before I actually switch to the offline JSON server. So let's begin to do that. So the first thing I want to do is we want to come here. So I'm going to type React testify. So if you go to the React testify like this, not the React testify first, the React icons. So React icons, so let's use this one. So if you want to know how to install it, you're going to click on this home. So if you click on this home, you scroll down, it's going to show you how to install it. So I'm going to copy this, Ctrl C, then come to my terminal. So I'm going to drag this up. So I'm going to drag this up, then I'll kill this terminal. So this is the terminal where we have our live server. Okay, I'm not using this for now, so I'm actually using this. So I'll also kill this terminal. So open up a new one. Then I'm going to paste this. So I'm going to hit enter. So while that is installing, let's learn how to use this icon. So I'll search for delete. Search for delete. So I've seen a delete icon. So let's add that off. First of all, let's start with the back. So we'll start with the back icon. Let's do it serially. Back. So we want it to only go a step back. So we're going to use this icon. Let's use one that looks bolder. Let's use this one. So I've copied that. So if I tap here, so I think it's here, so I'm going to copy this. So I'll tap here, I think it's here. Okay, let me just use this. I'm gonna copy it. Do Ctrl C. Then I'll go back to my code. So I'll show you how to do the automatic import. So it has been installed. So I'm just going to bring this guy down a little. Then what I need to do now is to come back to my back button and paste that. Now I need to install this. I need to import this. So I'll remove this K and put that back. Then I'll wait for my IntelliSense. Then I'll click this. If I go to the top, just quickly move to the top. So you notice I have that imported. So that means I will not have an error. So if I go back to the browser, if I save, go back to my browser, come to this point here, go to a single one, I'm going to see this change. So I think, let me refresh. So I think I was actually using the one from my VS Code terminal, not this one. So let me kill this one. Then let's use the one from our VS Code terminal. So I'll press another plus here. Then I'll do my npm run dev. So I will start as import, so that this should refresh now to give us the latest update. Okay, so while it's trying to install, so let's do that of the delete. While it's trying to refresh, so delete. So I have that delete. So let's use the one that looks nicely. So I'm going to use this delete forever here. So I'm going to grab this again. I'll do my Ctrl C, then I'll come to my icon here. So look for my delete. So this is my delete test, so I'll copy that. paste, Ctrl V. Then to get the automatic import, I'm going to remove the arrow and put that back. Then wait for your IntelliSense. So I'm going to click it on this. Now we are getting this IntelliSense because we have installed that React icons. So let's do the last one, which will be our update. So update. So look for one that sums it up. I think this one looks nice, so we want to update something. So GR update, so Ctrl C. Then I'll look for my update. Then of course I'm going to remove this E and put it back. So wait for my IntelliSense. So I'll click on this, so that means it automatically import it. Okay, so now what we want to do now is, if we go back to our browser, it should have loaded by now. So if I go back, so if I click on this, so I see this, but a user might not know what each of this icon is. So we want to add something like this, a tooltip, so when the person hovers on there, the person will see a text that will explain what each of the icons is. So it helps users to actually understand what the text means. So what we are going to do now is we're going to add an attribute here, which is the title attribute. So add it here, add it here. So I'm going to add title. So this one is a HTML attribute. So for this one, I'm going to add go back. Then this one is going to be delete. This blog, so this should be small letter. Then this one is going to be update this blog. So if I save this now, we'll have something like this. Okay, so notice when I hover here, it's not telling me go back, delete this blog or this blog. So in case the user doesn't know what this is, going to show nicely. Okay, so we have these three icons. So notice the icon looks smaller. So if I go back, it still looks smaller. So it's not, the text is too small. So what I'm going to do now is, let's try to add a font size. So I'm going to go to the title, add a font size. So I'm going to add a text of, let's use 2XL, that is 24 pixels. So let's see how it looks like. So now you notice it's bigger now. Nice. Okay, so this is what we have done. So if I click on this and hit OK, so plug this successfully, and I go back to the blog list page. So nice. So now what we want to do next now is we want this our delete here, or first of all, after delete is successful, instead of this alert, let it be a React Toastify. So that's the next thing that we want to do now. So let's go to the React Toastify. So I'm going to put React Toastify npm React Toastify. So I'm going to click here. So we need to install this. So I'm going to copy this. Ctrl C. Now what this React Toastify does, as you can see here, is after it shows a message on its own, it disappears. But you notice the one that we have on our browser here, if I delete a blog and it shows me blog details forever, if I leave this like this for a year, it will still remain like this. It will not delete. I mean, it will not on its own disappear. So we want it to on its own disappear. So that's why we are switching to this React Toastify. So if we go here, this is how it looks like. So first of all, let's install it. So I'm going to tap on this, then I'm going to right click, paste. So I'm going to hit enter. So that will install. So now the next thing I want to do now is let's learn how we can add this to application. So the documentation is pretty straightforward. So if you go down, it has 4 steps. So this is the first step. The second step is to do this. The third step is to do this, and the fourth step is to call it. So each time you call this function, it will automatically come. Now for this application, you must click a button before the toast will come. But in our own, we want it when the blog is successful. We want to call this button. So let's add this 4 steps. So I'll do Ctrl C. Then now I can close this terminal. Then I'm going to add this the first step. So I'm going to add a comment here. Put toast step 1. So I'll paste that. So now the step 2 is this. I'm going to copy this. I'll do my Ctrl C. Then I'll come back here, go to the down part of my application and paste this. Now this will not throw an error because remember from the browser I've already imported all of this. Now the step 3 is this. So Ctrl C. So I just forgot to add the comment. So toast step 2. Then let's go to the step 3. So the step 3, we add that anywhere within our JavaScript environment. So I'm going to add that here. Do my tab. So I'll do that. So this is the step 3, but what I actually want to do now is I want to open this. You say demo is worth 1,000 words. So I'll right click, open on a new tab. So the tab is opening. So let's switch. So this is actually how I like to use my Toastify. So I'm going to copy this, but I want to adjust it to the way I want. So I want the type of toast to be a success. So if I do that, notice it's going to show me this. So this check, good. Then I want it to be dark. So if I test that now, notice it's not showing me like this. Nice. Then I want it to be so if you want to change the direction of your display, so I want it to be top center. So to change that to just be like this. Nice. Then I think that is all. Then the toast notification delay, you can also adjust that. So if I adjust it to 3 milliseconds, so 30 times 3000, I think it's starting with 1. So I'm going to do that from my code. Let's see. That's quite small. So I just add 3 here, then zeros 1 2 3. Okay, so I add that. So if I do that, you notice it will close in a shorter time. So all of this you can do. So when you have gotten what you want, the next thing you will just do is to copy all of this. So I'll copy all of this. So it's either you add it to your toast container or you add it to the toast function. So I like adding to the toast function. So I'm going to copy all of this. I'll do Ctrl V again. Then you notice all those things have been updated. This bounce was not added at the first time. So let me see. So add toasts. Let's see, it was not added. So again, to get the automatic import, I'm going to remove the E and put it back. Wait for the IntelliSense to show. So it has shown. So I'm going to click that. So that will be added automatically now. So you see I have my bounce. Then I have to change this text here. Move this emoji and I'll put blog deleted successfully. Okay, so this is the toast step 3. Then step 2, step 3. So the toast step 4 now will be when our blog actually deletes here. So instead of this here, I'm going to now call my notify, not this, and I'll invoke that. But if I run this code like this, it then means once delete occurs, it just immediately redirect, which is nice. But I want the user to at least maybe just for the coding process, I'm going to add a set timeout. Set time out. So let's see. Let's wait for the IntelliSense to come out. So I'll choose the set function on, then I'll change this to 3000, just like the toast notification. So that immediately is concluding. Then I want to now run this function. Nice. So if I do this, notice what will happen. If I go to my browser, I press OK. So if I come here again and I delete this, I click this, it's going to show me blog deleted successfully, and just then it switches. Nice. So the last thing that I want to add now is we want to use, so you can use the bootstrap. So I can show you the one you want to use. So now we want to actually add, once I click on this button, this design should change. It should not be this one, it should be something it should be something nicer than this. So this is just the React method, the JavaScript method that we are using now. So let me do that. So I'm going to show you how to use React Bootstrap modal, or we can use the React. So let's first of all look at the React Bootstrap. So if I click on this first link, the number show me size can be reached. So let's see. I don't want the npm on, I want the documentation. So this one should be reached. So I don't know why it's not showing me. So let me use, okay, this one is a notify app. So let's look at this. React Bootstrap. So let's look at this. So let's see if we'll see anything good about the documentation. So I think let me use the material UI. So I said I will use two. So this one is React Bootstrap 5. So let me look at this. See, there's me to this, but it's not opening. So let me take this, something like this. It's not showing. So let's just use material, just type MUI React. React components. So that is the material UI. Then I'll click this. I don't know why they are not opening. So let me go back. I think something is actually wrong. Let me switch to my Airtel. It might be network. So let me switch to my Airtel. Let me try refreshing this page. Okay, so that was network, even for the Bootstrap one. So we want to look at the components. First of all, we want to look at the get started. So let's look at the get started. So we want to look at the installation. So if you want to install a material UI using npm, so you have to install this. Then once that has been installed, if you want to use a font family for this, Google font, so we'll not do all of this, just want to use the application. So let's look at some of the templates and see what we'll stand to enjoy by using this. So if you look at the components, it looks like this. So tap on this component. Here I'm going to drop more components. See buttons, so you can add buttons, you can add switch. So if there's anything that you want to use, you have some material UI stuff, so later on you can actually you can actually just go through it to see some list of available design that you have. So by the way, let me copy it. I've clicked that, so let me go back. I wanted to copy that selection, so if I go down, I'll see how it looks like, then see how the alert looks like. Let's assume we didn't want to use the serial tostify, so we can use the material UI for that. So let's look at this diag. So this diag looks like this. So once I click on this, I'm going to do something like this. Now once you show something like this, you notice everywhere is grayed out, then I have to do that. So alert, I see something like this. So this looks like what we want. So I have a heading, I have a text, then agree or disagree. So nice. So this is one I'll use. So we have this sliding alert, so we can use this one anyone we want. Then we have the form dialog, so in case you want to add your form to this, so you can add that. So we have the open dialog, so we have so many things like this. So this one, you're not building all those designs, so you have the full screen dialog. It's already built for you, so you only just to implement it, just as we'll soon do now. So in your own time you can peruse that. So we are going to use the sliding alert. So first of all, let's install that. So go to the installation, so getting started, installation. So I'll copy this because I'm using npm. Then what I'm going to do is to come to my terminal again. So I have to drag in, I have to drag sorry, excuse me, I'm going to drag up my terminal, then I'm going to right click, paste that and hit enter. So I've done that. So is there any other step? So this is the default documentation, and so let's see material this. So we are going to run the first one. If we need to install this, we're going to uninstall that and install. I think is that's what I'm looking at this. I think is normally this one I use, but let's see if you're going to see that default installation. So let's go to our components now. Then let's look at the dialog or the diag. So click on the diag. So that should load in a moment. Okay, then let's look at the one we want, which is the sliding. I think this is the one I clicked. I don't know why it's showing me this snack bar. So there are so many things here, so you can explore later. So we'll go back. So we want to use the sliding, agree, disagree, so we can change this text if we want. So I'm going to show the code. So this is how the code looks like. Then we have this component. So what I'll just do is to copy this as a component. So I'll copy this like this. Then I'll move to, so it has finished installing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kill the terminal, Ctrl+C, because we installed a new component. So Ctrl+C, clear the terminal, npm run there, so that we don't have any issue when we want it to actually display. So I'm going to close this. Then I'm going to create a new component now and call it MUI. So this is where I'll likely save all my material UI icons that I'm using for the project. And I'll save this as an alert MUI.jsx. So this is just how I want to save it. Then I'm going to paste the code I just copied. Then I'm going to do my Alt Z to break this. Then I can close this now. So I'm having 2 errors. Oh, this was TypeScript, so I'll change it from, instead of TypeScript to the normal JS. So now it's now in the normal JS format, but still React. So I'm going to copy the code again. Then do my Ctrl+A, do my Ctrl+V. So nice, there's no error now. So next I need to change this from alert dialog slide. So I'll do my Ctrl+Shift+L to get any duplicate of this. I think it's only one, so just put it to alert MUI, just like this, my component here. So that is the only thing I've changed here. So let's actually test this out. So we are going to call this, so we are going to call that component in our details page. So just call it call that above our button, which is this one. So we just want to test it for now. So I'm going to call this as my alert, not that, alert MUI. So we want to automatically import that. So when that has imported, then close, just call this as a component. So that means if I go to my browser now, so if I click on it should refresh. So I don't know why it waits for you to come to the browser before it will refresh. So that takes time. So I think the refresh is on focus, so if it's not on focus, it's not bother refreshing. So that also is nice. The purpose of that will likely be to put the browser on a sleep mode when it is not in focus, so that way it will not use much RAM. So the cost now is we have to wait for it. Okay, so that has loaded, so let's load this. So we are going to see this style up now. Slide in, allow diag. So if I do that, I see this basic style in here, which is nice. So disagree, then we'll see what agree. But this is not actually how I want to use it in our application. We want to click on this, it should show this. So let's study the diag now. So if we study this allow diag, so we notice that we have this button. We have this button here. That is the one that is showing us this sliding alert. Then when we click on that button, it's going to call a function called so it's going to change the state of open. That is being handled by this handle, click open. Then by the time we close it, which is handled by on close, so it's going to be called by this handle what close. So we have to, so in order for us to actually decide when we want to call it, because by the time we click on this on this button, is going to actually change this to what, to true. So we will not change any of this function. What we just need to do is to comment out this button for now. So just comment it out. Then we also need to comment this out too. So now we will not be passing this prop. So I need to get my open, then set what open. Then we also need something else. We also need to get our action, our action. So we have this as our action, so that when the button state actually does what we want to do, then we will now run this action likely by the time we get what user click. So if user click on this, we are going to run this. So the first task now for us is to do this. We actually want to call this function, to open up this dialog without the button. So if I save this now, you notice the dialog will be off. So we want it to call up when we click on this here. So to do that, we need to go to our details page. Then we'll move this. So I'll just cut this. I'll do Ctrl+X, move this to the bottom of the page, just like this guy, because it will show only when we call it. Then I'll declare those my states, so I can just copy that here. So I'll declare this I'll do Ctrl C, bring it out here, then I'll paste now. So I have my open and my set open. So when we click on this handle delete, instead of this ask user, so what I want to do now is to comment this out, and I'm going to click on I'm going to now use my set open, to true, just like this. Nice. So the next thing I want to do now is the state. So I have to click on check if then we want to call this function. So now the action now is this our delete function. So it will not be this open. So if the person clicks on the true button, then we want to call this. So let's just leave this as false for now, so that it will not run the code. So but we'll just notice that the tag will be opened. So let's do that. Let's check if that has worked. So if I click on this, so that didn't work. Okay, that is because I've not passed that as a prop. Yeah, so I need to pass that as a prop. So I have our open, then that will be my open, then set open, I also pass it as a prop, set open. So if I save that now, you're going to see the button. So I'll first of all disagree, then let me refresh to see if it comes up without my clicking it. Then we'll know that we have to change that from the details. Okay, so it's working fine. So it's only when I click this I will see this pop up. So I disagree, then I agree. Okay, nice. So the next thing that I want to do first is we want to now change the message that comes. So we want to use this as an alert, then we put our message here, then we can leave this text like it. But if you want to change it, you can also change it. Excuse me. So let's go back to our UI. So you can simply run this. You can actually pass in a message that you want. So I'm going to put the message. Then you can also include the title too if you want. So title if you want. So what I'm going to do here now is, in place of this my title, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to do my conditional rendering here. So if there's a title, put the title, else use alert. Then if there's a message, put the message MSG, use your MSG, else as do you, and this has to be a question mark. That's why it's showing error. So do you So let me just copy this from here, from this alert method here. Where is it? I think, did I remove it? I think I've, okay, it's here. So do you want to delete this block forever? Control C. So I'll just paste that here. So if there is no message, it will assume it is delete you want to delete. So I can put this as cancel. So you see how, then I can put this as proceed. Okay, so if I save this, so if I save this now, it will be using our default message, but by the time I want to use this in other projects, it's going to, we are going to pass in that props of the title. So you see now, show me title, do you want to delete this blog post forever? So you see the cancel here, then you see the proceed here. Nice. So when the person actually clicks on the proceed, we want to run a function, and that function that we want to run is this handle delete. So because what this our set open is doing can be done in the bottom part, so I'm just going to cut this out so that we just call this as in place of our action. So what I'm going to do is I'll come to this button here. Once I click on this delete here, so I'm going to add, so I'll change this now. Just do Ctrl V and put this here. So it's just going to set what open, and that is it. Then next, as part of my props, I'm going to put action, then handle what, handle delete, handle delete. Handle delete, just like this. Well, one issue that we are going to have, I don't think that will be an issue. It will be an issue because it needs access to this ID. It needs access to this ID. If not, it's not be able to get this. So let me remove this. If yeah, then let me remove this. So you notice that this ID is valid here, but this is a different component, so that will be very that will require us to pass in a prop here. So what we'll do here is just to make this work, we are going to pass in this ID as a local variable, ID here. Then the extra prop that we are going to pass now to this other guy is an ID. So of course this will be conditional, so if you're not passing an ID, that will not work. So I'm going to pass in an ID, or I can call it data, so in case there's a data that you need to pass in, you just need to use that one. So but for now just put ID and I'll call it ID. So we need to accept these two stuff from our alert. So I'm going to save. Then from my alert, I need to also accept my ID. I think this guy can solve that issue. So I'll try that later. Let's actually try this. That means it's going to okay, so let's leave that for later. So what I'm going to pass here is the ID now, so that when the person clicks on this button, which is on the proceed button, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my anonymous function here, because I need to run more than one stuff here. Then enter this, then I'm going to invoke this, then put my command here, and I will run this. Then also I'm also going to now run my action. Then I'm going to pass in my ID as a prop ID. So this is why we are passing that ID as a prop here, so that we can pass it, because the ID will change for each of the block details. So notice we have our action. So the action actually means so the action has not been highlighted, and the ID, okay. So the action actually means our handle delete, which is this one now, and the ID means our ID. So if I use handle delete here, it will be handle delete. So why I use action is the action that will be carried out when the user clicks on that button. So when it actually works now, so if it works the way we want, so by the time we click on the handle delete, sorry, excuse me, on the proceed button, is going to actually run this entire code just as it was working when we had this here. So let's try it out. So I'm going to click my delete. As you can see, so nothing happens. Delete, proceed. So you're going to see block deleted successfully, and that's it. So this is how we can make a fine alert just by easily learning how to use the documentation. So you see the process I use, so they make it looks nicer. So you can test around to see if you can use maybe Tailwind to style your component. So let me just try that. So I have a curious spirit, so this is what I mean by playing around. So if you've done the basics, then you play around. So let me add BG black. I want to make it black. So let's see if this is going to work. So I think Material UI, they will have their own way of styling, so I must use their own way of styling, but I think the text on can work. So later on you can try that, but this is how you use. So if you're building with a Figma guide and the alert is meant to be darker or something, then you can read the documentation to see how you can actually style that using the Material UI way. So I think they have some color stuff here that you can use. So if you really want to use this for a design, then you have to study this documentation or make research how to add a different background color to this, and you will see that. But for now, we've used it to make our application to look a little bit nicer. So now we can now delete our block successfully, only that is not actually the redelete. So let's see how long we have taken. This is about 1 hour 10 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here. Then in the next video we are going to now learn how we can now switch from the JSON placeholder to the JSON server, which can give us more control and more feel that we are actually deleting something. So in the next video we'll see that.